And now chapter 8 of Job. Here we come to the first speech by the second friend, who goes by the name Bildad the Shuhite. Bildad comes out of the gate with a strong defense of God, as he understands it, and for this we must commend him, but his words are so harsh. Verse 2, "How long, Job, will you say these things, and the words of your mouth be a great wind?" And now the pivotal question, does God pervert justice, or does the Almighty pervert the right? Bildad is anchoring himself firmly in the camp of retributive justice, saying that if you do right, right comes. If you do wrong, then wrong or harm comes to you. With these rhetorical questions, does God pervert justice? Clearly the answer is no, that God's not in the business of that, and Bildad refuses to let go of that principle, and that leads him inevitably to comment on the fate of Job's children. And we know that this was one of the first things that went wrong when the calamities began to descend on Job. And so in verse 4, Bildad brings up this tragedy and points out, in his opinion, if your children sinned against him, that is against God, then God delivered them into the power of their transgression. Very, very rugged portrayal of his understanding. They died for their sin. Perhaps aware of how harsh his statement is, Bildad hastens to add in verse 6, in essence, as for you, Job, it doesn't need to turn out that way for you, because if you prove to be pure and upright, then surely God, will rouse himself for you. He'll go to bat for you. And then in the end of verse 6, he'll restore you to your rightful place. So take hope in this. If you are not at fault, then things will turn around for you. There's some especially powerful language, imagery that's used as we come towards the latter portion of Bildad's speech. Notice, for example, 13 through 15. Such are the paths of all who forget God. The hope of the godless shall perish. So this is the condition or the attitude that he's speaking against. And then he likens it to this. Those who forget God, their confidence, verse 14, is gossamer. It is a spider's house. Or let me reread that. A spider's house is their trust. If one leans against its house, he's talking about a spider's web. If one leans against its house, it will not stand. If one lays hold of it, it will not endure. What a powerful way to express the futility of forgetting God, verse 13, and of living a life that is godless. So he says that's definitely not going to work. He concludes by a word of encouragement or hope for Job, down in verse 20. See, God will not reject a blameless person, nor take the hand of evildoers. He will yet fill your mouth, and that is Job, with laughter, and your lips with shouts of joy. So he has hope, Bildad does, for a favorable outcome for Job, but he's not at all reluctant to refer to the demise, the death of his children, and say, that must have happened because they did something wrong.